All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Live podcast. I am your host, Kyle Malzhan, alongside co-host Mark Talarico. The Cubs wrapping up their weekend series in Colorado, taking 2 games out of 3 and head to Cleveland for a short 2-game series starting on Tuesday. The Cubs offense looked pretty stellar the past few games. I mean, Javier Baez. Can we talk about this guy for a little bit? I mean, he's leading the league in RBIs with 23, has 7 homers, batting near 300. His OPS is off the charts. I mean, Javier Baez is absolutely locked in right now. It's super fun to watch for a fan, and covering Cubs baseball because we've always wanted to see this Javier Baez. Can we get this guy that is locked in at the plate, not worrying about doing too much, trying to hit it up the ballpark? He's just focusing on himself, shortening up his swing a little bit, making the contact, and the results are showing. So for you, Mark, I got to ask you, what's sticking out for you right now when you look at Javier Baez?
Everything. He's doing everything right. Of course, his defense is always great, but at the plate, he's not really trying to do too much, but he doesn't need to try because it's just happening naturally. It's not like he has 7 home runs, but it's not like every single time he's just swinging for the fences. He had that great double that changed the game today. That was after a home run, of course, and he's just making these great hits, and his slugging percentage is unbelievable. His isolated slugging percentage, which is just like power compared to singles and all that, is historically great for the pace that he's on right now. I saw like an article about that yesterday, and it's unbelievable what he's doing. And he looks like the 2016 NLDS, NLCS Javi Baez. It's just happening in April. So every time he's at the plate, I feel good. I feel good about him.
Yeah, and now he goes from, batting 7th or 8th and moving up to the 2nd spot, and he's really, exceeding in that spot, as well as Almora, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But before I go any further, I want to say hopefully we had a scary situation in today's game in the first inning. I mean, Kris Bryant, who one of the best MLB players and a big star in the game today, he goes down, gets hit in the face by a pitch, 96, 97 mile per hour fastball right in the face. Luckily, he passed each exam and everything. No concussion so far. I mean, he's still being evaluated. So that is a great sign and a great update. And hopefully, Cubs Live, me, Mark, and everyone else, hopefully he's okay because, man, it happened to the worst guy you could possibly ask for, a guy who was very humble, one of the best stars. And for no one, you never want to see that. But for when it hits Kris Bryant, it really hits home for us. So we hope he's okay. Now, moving forward, on Saturday, Darvish, he's had some struggles getting past that 5th inning. It's like kind of that roadblock, I feel like. And not only for him, but some other Cubs starters like Quintana and stuff like that. But it seems like when we talk about Darvish, when adversity hits, his game goes south real quick. It was the balk last time. And now Saturday, it was a walk to the pitcher. Mm-hmm. I mean, when do you think Darvish gets it together? Because we know he's going to be good. He's just messing, I feel like, with a lot of mechanical stuff right now. This past Saturday, he stopped using that little pause in his delivery. And I don't think Cubs fans should be concerned about Darvish. A lot of people seem that way right now if you looked at, our mentions on Cubs Live. But if you're a Cubs fan and remember Lester, he had a 6-point-something ERA in his first month as a Cub, just like Darvish does right now. And if track records show anything, he will be just fine. So, Mark, I know we can't put a timetable on this, and you wish he would have started hot off the gates. But when do you think Darvish gets it together, or maybe a stepping stone, maybe if he, adjusts some stuff mechanically? I know he was talking to, our pitching coach, Jim Hickey, a lot today, and looking at some videos as well before the game and talking to him. So maybe they're thinking of a game plan. Maybe, hey, look, you can use your little pause in your delivery, 3, 4, 5 innings, first inning, switch it up. Something, talk to me a little bit. When does Darvish get it together?
I think that Darvish is a lot like Lester, where he's kind of, I don't really want to use the term, but I guess he's needy as a pitcher. Like Lester, he needs different things to be going right in order for him to have a good game. And I think that's how Darvish is too. And I think that the biggest problem, I was watching the game yesterday with my dad, and the moment that he walked the pitcher, my dad was like, that it's going to go downhill from there. He knew it, and I knew it, and I wasn't surprised. And when you walk a pitcher in an area like that, then it's bound for things to happen like that. The baseball gods are going to rain upon you when something like that happens. So I think also that a lot of the problem is what we were talking about earlier is the inconsistency with all the weather, the delays, that changes everything. It doesn't just change the players because 3 days out from a start, you have this routine. 2 days out, you do this. The day before, you do this. And then suddenly it gets canceled and it gets postponed to another day. And then you have to fly out to another city. You're not pitching for 2 more days. You have to restart everything. And I don't think a lot of people are really realizing that the Cubs, I'm sure they've had more games canceled than anybody else in the league by now. And that could have an effect. Yeah, it's nice to get the rest and all that, but I think that once there's a consistent grind, once the weather is getting warmer, once all of that happens, I expect to see Darvish. So I'll say around May, somewhere mid-May or so, I expect Darvish to be Yu Darvish.
Yeah, I think the later part of May, early part of June, when these guys are getting into the grind, we don't have to worry about delays like you're saying, like getting delayed every other day and being pushed back, because these MLB players need consistency, and that feels like the word for this year's Cubs team early on is consistency. Because let's face it, we're 10-9, we're not playing bad ball, but we're not playing great ball. We're playing average ball right now. We're getting by just by the hairs. The other day we hit 16 runs. The next day we have 2. Today we have 9. I wouldn't have invested too much into that, but we need some consistency within this team. And to win this division, you need to play better. As much as I care about the Cubs, I follow them, we all cover them. It would be very biased to not say they need to play better, because they do. They need to get better to play. And I think once you get in that grind of 162 games and, you really get the season going, because we've had such a weird start. Like you said, I think I've read this stat that the Cubs and Royals have the most rainouts, and it just, we're in the Midwest area, so it doesn't surprise us. So you're right. When May, June, when these guys are getting consistent every other 5 days starts, you're going to see a really good Yu Darvish. There's no question about it. Now, we're talking about the leadoff man. Fast forward, let's take it back a few months. We were all talking about Ian Happ. Now, Ian Happ had a phenomenal spring in that leadoff role, hitting, I think, 6 or 7 homers. So coming into the season, the big talk was Ian Happ leading off, and Albert Almora got lost in the mix. It's leading up. The past 2-3 years, it's been super easy to forget about Almora, because we've had so many guys come in and just make it easy to forget about them, if it makes sense. But the front office promised Almora a bigger role this season, and so far he hasn't really had a bigger role up until this series in Colorado. Now, Almora has came into this leadoff role. He got granted it and is impressing a lot of people. He's had some impressive plays. He had 3 out there today in center field that I can't remember a better day a center fielder have that I saw, and there's no question he's a better center fielder than Ian Happ. I love you, Ian Happ, but when it comes to defense, Almora you're down here, and Almora is way up there. But when it comes to Almora's playing time, it really his lack of hitting right-handed pitching, but the only way he's going to get better, is by hitting them and getting that playing time. So my question for you, Mark, do you like Almora Jr. in center field every day? And this isn't in any way of me bashing Ian Happ, because we all know he's a very powerful bat and a versatile player like we all should have in our lineup. Ian Happ is a true talent, but when the Cubs have Almora sitting on the bench, a true talent in center field, I think you have to go with, the true talent, homegrown talent in center field over a guy who really got put in that role, if that makes sense. So do you like Almora Jr. in center field every day?
Well, I think that I can't name 3 outfielders that are better than Almora, just period. He is an incredible outfielder. Like you said today, his game, those plays that he was making, the play he made yesterday, it's unbelievable. I see a fly ball and I see Almora running, and I'm really not that nervous, because I know that if it takes an athletic catch, he's going to make it. And I like him in the leadoff role because his numbers are phenomenal. Its average is up over 300. He's doing everything that he needs to do. He's not going to wow people like Ian Happ is at the plate. He's not going to hit balls 450 feet. He's not going to be doing that, but he is exactly what the Cubs need at the leadoff. And I'm glad that he had such a great series, because coming into the series, I was really I don't think Happ belongs in the leadoff role, and I was thinking maybe Addison Russell, maybe even Jason Hayward. I don't know, but I think that Almora deserves to play every game at center field, and if he's going to be playing every game, I think that he belongs in the leadoff role.
Yeah, I'm not one to question Joe Maddon at all. I love Joe Maddon, his managing, everything about the guy I'm in love with as a baseball standard. Mm-hmm. But if I had to nitpick one thing, it's like, dude, you're looking at Almora right now, and he's producing right in front of your eyes. And if it's not telling you, he's laying it all on the line. He had to almost get medical attention twice for making these acrobatic catches. So if you're not watching this guy, succeeding, having these diving catches, producing pretty good, well at the, leadoff role, if you're not looking at that and seeing that, I mean, man, it's hard to put Ian Happ in that role again, because Almora has such, upside, and it's really nice to see the production he's been getting. And I hope when the season progresses, I mean, it's nice to have Ian Happ too, where he can come in and give Almora days off, rest and stuff like that. But I hope going in the future, I think that Almora Jr. should be the Cubs center fielder on the daily. Fast forwarding to the next series, the Cubs start a 2-game series in Cleveland on Tuesday, and we all know what's happened on Cleveland. They get an off day, but I'm sure the bullpen can use it. A rematch of the 2016 World Series. And when you think back to it, there's so many good memories that comes through my mind. I'm sure that comes through your mind, but there's also some stressful times. I mean, we've had some really intense games that series. I mean, the Cubs come back, go down 3-1, come back, win 4-3. The 10th inning game 7. I mean, there's just so much that went into that series, and that we still remember. It's like it happened yesterday, but it's almost 2 years ago now. So we're going to see Chatwood versus Tomlin, and we're going to see Lester versus Bauer. How do you think the Cubs match up versus the 11-8 Indians?
I think that right now they're kind of similar teams, where before the season, the Indians, there's no reason why they shouldn't be an elite program and an elite team, and they're 11-8. That's not setting the world on fire, not doing too bad. It's the same kind of thing as the Cubs, where they're trying to figure out where they're at. So I think, I mean, if we're being honest, if by the way things have been going, the Cubs will probably lose game 1 and they'll win game 2, because they go back to 500, then up or down. I don't know. I would love them to take both, but I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean, I kind of in the same boat too, because you want them to sweep, you want them to get 2 wins, but we've been an up and down team, like you said. So it's practical to say, hey, we're going to lose game 1 or win game 1 and lose game 2 or win it, because that's just kind of the flow this season's been. When I look at the games, I'm not too worried about the hitting. I'm more worried about the pitching. I want to see a good outing from Tyler Chatwood, and a good outing with no walks, not no walks, but limiting it, because he has great stuff. We've seen it. He had 7 strikeouts, but along with the 7 strikeouts, he also had 7 walks, and that cannot happen when you're a major league pitcher, because almost when you're putting out 7 strikeouts and 7 walks, you're creating so much base running and traffic on the bases that you don't deserve to win. So I hope that Tyler Chatwood can go. I know he's facing Tomlin. The Cubs are facing Tomlin that night, so hopefully he can get on him, give him some run production, get a good start out of Chatwood, and go from there. I think it would be very encouraging to see it at the least. And Lester, I mean, Lester's been really good so far. I think if it's me, I know Kyle Hendricks has had his mess ups a few innings, but other than Kyle Hendricks, Lester's been the most impressive, I think. He's put together some nice series wins, so hopefully Chatwood and Lester can get it going, and the Cubs can really fall back now, go to Cleveland, and the bats keep on being hot. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling great, but I'm feeling pretty good leaving Colorado. I'm glad we're out of there, because I'm not missing it. I know I couldn't imagine, playing at a home ballpark like, Coors Field. It's ridiculous, but all right, well, I think we're going to wrap things up here. I mean, the Cubs get the series win in Colorado, and I'm glad they're leaving, like I just said, because we won't miss it. I know Cubs Live isn't missing it. They head into the series versus Cleveland. They're 10-9. As always, I'm Kyle Malzhan. Thanks for listening, and go Cubs.